See, here's the confusion. Here's the confusing part. We're going to start streaming, but we're not actually live.
Well, it takes there's a...
And then she does something, and then she's like, okay, now the audio is live.
Got you.
And then she's like, oh, the video is live.
You know, like this gives me like so much more appreciation for like the Twitch girls. There's like so much work that goes into it. Like I used to bash them, like, oh, must be nice, just like show your boobs on Twitch. And it's just like there's a whole process that goes to this.
The work they go into.
I know, that's what my boys all say. They're like, if you want to get followers on Twitch, you have to stand up and purposely bend over a certain direction, pick something up, sit back down, have your boobs like this, and move them around like that, and then you're good.
Your sons are telling you
yes,
this?
he says it's the only way you're going to get followers on Twitch. It's like, and it's like, you got the boobs, so you should do it.
I can just see your sons like, bend over now, like chewing you now.
Oh, Grant totally would.
They're looking out for themselves. Like, hey, mom makes it, we make it. We gotta do whatever it takes.
Ridiculous. I'm so sad that was not on the stream. That will be. We are live. Oh, we're live.
So we're live. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Marcellus Studios. It's a very honor. Usually it's the Kinetic Experience, but I just went ahead and upgraded it to Abe Studios.
Okay, awesome. So I own all this now.
Yes, basically, yes.
I bet. Cool.
And it's good because in 5 days the rent's due, so I'm glad you own it now.
Perfect timing.
You got
it's quite expensive. They're very proud of this view in this like 100 square feet, so let me tell you. So welcome to the show. This is Abe Nadimi.
I'm Jannica Morton, Emily Francis.
Marcellus Williams.
Also known as?
The Swolfessor.
Yes. Yeah. We're glad to have you here. Marcellus is friends of Adolfo. We don't have a camera on Adolfo right now. Once he starts looking better, we got some therapies and stuff. we're gonna be able to get him on the show. We're working toward that.
Salty over there.
But anyways, excited to be here. We haven't done this show in a while, and it's crazy. So the reason is that we have some client work, and the client work's all over the place, and then it's just really hard to schedule it back in, or there's not enough of us, and sometimes it's just me, and I don't really like talking, but sometimes it'll just be me and you, and if that's the case, just call me on the phone, we'll just talk. So anyways, so when we get Janie here and Emily got a little bit, I think the word is
violently, deathly ill.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
So I thought Emily was really pissed on Friday. So I'm sitting down. I swear to God, so I'm sitting down here just working on actually was working on a document. So I'm all like head in and typing it out and stuff. And all of a sudden, door opens, and bags go down, and then she bolts out, and I hear this. And she's walking like this. And I'm like, what happened? Like, I didn't say anything. Like, at least I normally had said something.
Say something to me.
I'd be like patting on my back, like, man, I really did good on that one, but you say nothing. So glad you're back.
Yeah.
She's still apparently not eating solid food, so that's how bad it was, guys.
Are you glad you're back?
Good question.
Glad to be here. I'm glad
She's
I'm
alive.
sitting upright. I'm not dead yet, or if I am, I'm a very convincing, sexy corpse. So.
Oh my God. Here, Flip.
Yeah.
So tell us, you have a bachelor's in kinesiology.
Correct.
Which sounds like a super fun degree to get, to be honest.
Yeah, no, it was. Well, depending on what courses we're talking about. But yeah, so kinesiology, which actually works out well, is like the kinetic experience, right? Is pretty much just the study of human movement. So from that dives into everything from anatomy and physiology, biomechanics, anything to do with human movement, anything to do with strength training, anything to do with really just overall like general health, athletic performance. Kinesiology covers all of that.
And now you are doing.
Oh shoot, yeah. So
you're all over the place.
Yeah, a little bit.
So you are doing personal training for sure,
Yep.
and then you're also competing for sure.
Yeah, I'm a powerlifter. So
yes.
I do personal training. I'm a powerlifter. I'm an online trainer. I'm an online coach.
Oh, that's awesome. I knew the online part.
Yeah. That's what my own main business actually is primarily now. I do most of my training and coaching online.
How does that work for something that is so?
Yeah, that is so personal. So for the longest time, I actually thought it didn't. For the longest time, so what's funny about what I do now is even though I've enjoyed fitness and working out for like years, like I started when I was 11 years old, doing like push-ups, pull-ups, started lifting weights in high school, stuff like that. I thought personal training was a joke. I was like, why the hell would you pay somebody to teach you how to do a push-up? Like that was my mindset on it, right? And then I thought online training was like just the biggest scam. So I'm like, how can you train somebody online? But then as I actually started. When I was getting my degree in kinesiology, and I was trying to like more than anything else just avoid student loans. So I was already working 3 jobs on campus, and I was like, man, I still need like a little bit more if I'm really trying to avoid student loans, still pay my rent, everything like that. So I was like, okay, well let me just get certified as a personal trainer. Like it has to do with my degree anyway. It should be easy. So
this joke,
yeah,
whatever.
Yeah, almost. Yeah, pretty much. It's like okay, it'd just be another like easy way to make money. You know, count people's reps, success, whatever like that. Got certified, started working at the rec center at the University of North Texas. That's where I graduated from, and I fell in love with it, dude. Like because I quickly learned that it's not that personal training is a joke, just a lot of personal trainers are jokes.
Yeah.
So that's the problem, because it's like a lot of this, the focus is I'm just trying to make money off you. Like, okay, here's what we're doing it my way. I'm not gonna explain to you why we're doing it or how it's actually gonna help you or how it's gonna be beneficial to you. But when you go about it the right way and you actually like you listen to your client, you find out what their goals are. It's fun for me because like well, I'm working with them physically, but I'm also getting to work my mind. Cause I had to figure out, okay, so this is their goals. This is like where they're currently at. What's the best way I can formulate everything as far as their program and nutrition to help them get there in the most efficient way possible, while still also hopefully teaching them why the stuff works, so that if oh hey man, I can't afford this anymore, they can continue on their own. So I ended up just falling in love with personal training, and when I graduated, I ended up working as a personal trainer at TCU full time, and I was doing that from like the end of 2016 to about the beginning of 2018. And in the midst of doing all of that is when I started like my own YouTube channel, started just putting out free information, and from that started getting inquiries for like online training and coaching, and which at first I avoided because I still thought the whole online thing was a joke. So my thing is I'm like, okay, how can I possibly, like, I can, like, writing programs is one thing. I can give you a program, send you on your way. But my mindset is, how can I, like, train and coach somebody, like, this way? But then I started looking into it more, started realizing how versatile Skype really is, where you can literally, like, share the screen. So what I started playing with was, okay, I have my clients record everything that they're doing. I have them, use an Excel sheet log to log their nutrition, their weigh-ins, everything like that. And then they have 24-hour access to me, and so they can Instagram message me, everything like that. But then what we do with our weekly check-ins is we get on Skype, we have all their videos right there. So anything that's going on with their form, we can correct everything that's going on with their form. I look at their sheet that they filled out, and that way we can discuss like, okay, so on this day you're feeling this way, on this day you ate a little bit over what we were supposed to, on this day you ate a little bit less. So and in a weird way, it's actually a little bit more versatile than in-person training. Reason being is if you're working at a commercial gym or rec center, unless you just own your own gym, you're very limited in what you do. They usually give you anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour, and that's it. And you think you can do a lot with that. And for just general people, just maybe trying to lose weight, learn the basics, you can do quite a bit with just 1 hour. But you get to a point where they're either going to become completely self-regulated because we're doing very simple stuff, in which case you don't need me anymore. I'm just here counting your sets and reps. Or you're going to get to a point where, man, they want to do more, they want to build more, they want to get more advanced, but I can't do that much with an hour. But when I pretty much have 24-hour access to them and have access to all this technology as far as the video, stuff like that, there's so much we can do with it. So
that's cool.
Are you incorporating any blood work into just basic blood testing, glucose testing for people that
stuff like that? So whenever they fill out
the basic stuff,
yeah. So whenever they fill out their questionnaire, if there's anything that's an immediate health concern that I need to know about, then they can send me information on that. Like they have paperwork on that. For the most part, they usually don't, and that's one thing that a lot of trainers mess up with too. They don't stay within their sphere, because if somebody tells me, for example, I'm hypothyroid or something like that, well, I can't give you anything for that, obviously, but that information lets me know that, okay, so they'll still be able to lose weight, they'll still be able to build muscle, but it's going to be at a slower rate because their hormone imbalance is different. So having that information is useful for me, but not so I can, here, get the supplement or buy this, but it just gives more information to know the best way to go about programming their nutrition and their workouts as well.
How much is nutrition in part of your, and let's start off with 2 parts, in your education? When you were going through school,
right?
How much was nutrition?
In my opinion, not enough. In the sense of, so certain courses are things that we had to take, intro to kinesiology, anatomy and physiology, biomechanics, things like that. But a lot of the stuff like nutrition, that would be like an elective, which kind of makes sense because it depends on what route you're going into. Some people want to go into corporate fitness. Some people maybe want to go into coaching where they don't have to necessarily understand nutrition. But for me, if you're really actually trying to maximize your results for your clients as a trainer, nutrition is a huge aspect of that. Even someone's not trying to lose weight, even just for performance, like if you're a power lifter, if you do mixed martial arts, football, how you eat has a huge impact on how you recover and how you perform. So to me, they didn't dive into that enough, but I was okay with that because I love reading. I've always been like that ever since I was a kid. My parents just brought me up to, like, I was reading when I was like 3 years old.
Damn.
So
awesome.
It's one of those things where, so long as I was introduced to the topic in some manner, I would just go research it myself. I would go to the school library, like go to the internet, filter through as much of the BS that's out there as possible, and kind of go from there. And that was pretty much like the best thing for my degree. Because technically speaking, with everything I'm doing now, it's like I didn't have to necessarily get my degree to do that because I work for myself, and you can get certified as a trainer without having the degree in kinesiology. Yeah, as long as you go through the course and everything like that. But what was good about it was it gave me a good base of knowledge. It gave me a good introduction to some of these topics. So when you kind of have that established base, it's a lot easier to filter through everything else. Like I tell people all the time, like, hey, the internet's a great resource. You just got to know what to look for because there's so much misinformation out there. And that's pretty much what got me to start my channel too, was I was like, I'm looking at like all the current fitness channels that are out right now, and even ones that I kind of watched back when I first got into it. And they've all shifted from actually being about health and fitness to, I'm trying to sell you something. I'm just trying to show you my lifestyle. Hey, this is where I'm at now. This is the car I drive. Hey, this is what I eat. And like that's all cool, like in the sense of entertainment, but that's not actually helping anybody. So my mindset was, okay, I'm going to start a channel. I want to purely focus on health, fitness, and social well-being. Any video that I release, whether it's just me talking to the camera over a topic or whether it's me showing my own training, I want it to be informative or beneficial in some way or another. If it's not that, then I don't record it. So that's kind of how I, like, kind of weird grouped up together version of how I kind of got into all of this.
That's really cool, man.
So yeah.
I think it's fascinating that you bring up nutrition so much.
Mm-hmm.
And in the standard traditional medical industry, it's not discussed.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And it's really interesting because if I go in, and work with you, you're like, well, the first thing probably, well, what's your goals and what are you eating?
Yeah, yeah.
But you go to the doctor, you're like, man, I don't feel so good.
Yeah.
And it's not, hey, stop.
Well, that's
what are you eating? What are you sleeping? How are you feeling? How's work?
Yeah.
It's not very standard.
Yeah. Well, and it makes sense too, right? I mean, if you're going to a doctor, it's usually because you already feel bad. So they're kind of more about curative. And me, I'm more about preventative. I'm trying to get you from even getting to the point of feeling that way to where you have to go to the doctor, which really is what personal training is supposed to be. And that's kind of what the problem is. I mean, if you even think about it, like look at all like the years of work you have to do to like, to get your PhD or be a doctor and stuff like that. To be a personal trainer, it's gotten so saturated to the point where you can literally just go online right now, take a test, boom, you're a certified trainer. And to me, it's sad because personal training should be seen as a health professional because it's like, okay, something as simple as like, there's lots of research on this, something as simple as like resistance training in your legs 3 times a week. So if you like squat 3 times a week, that cuts your chances of so many different types of cancers down by like half.
Why?
So basically, if we think about how cancer works, which is basically like, your cells rebelling against the body, you build up your work capacity, 2, you build up your immunity, and 3, a lot of the stuff that happens like with cancers, even though like some stuff we're like, okay, we don't know specifically like at what point this happened or what triggered it. We know that sedentary lifestyle has a lot to do with it. We know that lifestyle choice in general have a lot to do with it. So from...
Did y'all call him in to lecture me? Fuck you guys.
We were hopeful that
My comment was you can't out-train a bad diet. That was the beginning and end of the conversation. All I can contribute is you cannot out-train a bad diet.
we want you to live forever. Well, not forever.
I'm living forever. I already.
No, hold up. I'm not trying to get any false advertisements. I'm not offering immortality or anything. That's
not on the base level package.
Yeah, that's not the deal at all. Yeah.
A lifetime membership will talk about
If I figured that out, then I'll be charging a lot more for what I offer.
We got lots of work to do, lots of traveling to do, lots of fun to do. So we can't be like, Abe and I spend so much of our time dealing with bad backs and unable to exercise. A lot of that is that sedentary lifestyle.
Yeah, it kind of is. And the thing is, I tell people like, okay, even if you can't, let's say you don't always have access to gym equipment. Like I said, from like age 11 to 17, everything I did was body weight.
Yeah.
Yep.
So there's there's always a way to work around it. I think the problem is everybody thinks like, oh, I have to be in the gym every day for 2-3 hours plus. And depending on what you're doing, like I said, I'm a powerlifter, right? So my training's a little bit more in depth. So some of my sessions are sometimes 2-4 hours, depending on what I'm doing. But well, for me, I love it. So I mean, like you're going up, and I'm like, oh no, hell yeah. But
I think she's thinking about it from like, how do I put that on my calendar?
Well, yeah, there's no time. 2 to 4 hours over the next 6 months, maybe.
Yeah, but in terms of like hey, I'm just trying to move, be active, be healthy.
Yeah.
I feel like everybody can find like 30 to 40 minutes out of their day, 3 times a week to do something like that. So, and that's very doable, and that's kind of what I'm big on too with my clients, because there's a lot of coaches kind of just specialize, I want to work if you're at this level or that level.
Mm-hmm.
I try to work with a general basis. I don't care if you're a beginner where, hey, I've never done a push-up in my life, or hey man, I've done like 5 powerlifting competitions.
Sure.
I try to be as knowledgeable as possible so I can work with a spectrum of variety of people. So
That's cool. I felt the best when I was doing 15 minutes of, it was like concentrated 3 muscle groups. And I did that every day. And then I would do morning yoga salutations for like 10 minutes, like gratitude salutations. And then I would swim, like, I don't know, in my swimming pool. So it's not a big whatever, but I would swim, tread water for 10, 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And that's when I felt the best.
Almost
and
anything
walk
is
every
better
day.
than nothing.
Yeah.
Like that's what I tell people. It's like, because everyone's waiting for, like I said, they're waiting to like, oh, I'm just waiting until I have this much time, stuff like this. Like, look, whatever time you have now, just do something. Do something. It's not going to kill you. It's going to help you live longer. So.
Yeah, I used to climb, like, I would never ride an elevator, would always climb the stairs,
Yeah.
like all of that, because just that little bit and park at the end of the parking lot and walk and just to take
My
advantage of
fiance
everything.
gets on me about that. Like, we'll go to a store or something like that, and there'll be all these spaces in the front. I park way back. She's like, why are you doing this? I'm like, because we're about to walk. We're about to walk like all the way up
I
here.
mean,
So-
all those little things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would do it to the kids because, but
Helping to switch some of the cars from where you got to the store.
there's that.
Yeah.
Downsizing the family.
Which child are we going to lose from the car to the store?
They're all taller than me, so I had to hold their hand as we walked through the parking lot, so I don't get hit by the car.
Yeah. It's just little lifestyle factors, because all those little lifestyle factors build up over time. So
They
that's
do.
it.
Everything helps.
Oh my God, Ace Platinum's back on Twitch.
Nuh-uh.
So,
Yay.
so our boy
Oh,
Ace, he's
You're going to
he's
love
in-
this.
Oh,
Yes. He's assigned different names for each of us and different occupations.
I manage
okay.
a Starbucks, so I'm like, I'm not sad about it.
Yes. So if I had to guess your name and age and job, you're Trey, 23 years old, and his sunglasses and shoe salesman.
So I said, because I'm 23 years old.
You're 23 and you sell shoes and sunglasses.
So that first one was close. I'm 25. That second one was way off.
Way off.
I don't remember what I was.
I think I sell pizzas.
Did you sell
Mine
pizzas?
was. I was a good dude from The Simpsons. Hey, Ace, run through our jobs again, bro.
We don't remember.
We need to update our resumes.
I do. I need to have these updated. I need a whole new avatar just for Twitch for Ace. So I love on your videos you speak about mindset.
Yes. Yes.
So and I love that. How did you realize that aspect of yourself and then also for your clients?
So that's kind of just been part of my lifestyle, like forever. In the sense of I feel like mindset determines everything. You can have the potential, because I mean everyone has different potentials in different areas and fields, right? You can have the potential to do just about anything, but if your mindset's not right for it, you're never going to fulfill that potential.
Exactly.
Sure.
So from a young age, and it's a little bit different. Like a lot of parents, they raise their kids to be like, hey, you can do whatever you want. You can be whatever you want, no matter what the circumstances and stuff like that. My parents were a little bit more, I'll say a little bit more realistic than that. Yeah, very much so. They
Like, no, you can't do this.
yeah, no, my parents basically taught me that, like, hey, you have different capabilities and potential in different things, and you're never gonna know what that is until you actually go and try it. But that no matter what you do, keep the mind, like simple things, like everything's a learning experience.
Oh,
like
yeah,
like
for
don't if you fail, that's okay. Like just get back up, keep going from it. And then just from little stuff like that to just things that I've gone through and experienced in life. Like probably one of the hardest times of my life was my junior year in high school. It was 2011, and my eldest sister, she passed away actually due to cancer. So for me, it's one of those things where like I had lost people before, like my grandpa had died before that, I'd even lost friends and stuff like that. And in a weird way, like even though all those sucked, like my sister dying just hit me extremely hard because it's something where like it can happen, but the way it happened was just crazy because so it was actually like so she had 4 kids, a daughter and then 3 sons, and when she was pregnant with her last son was when this cancer kind of first showed up, and they pretty much told her, they said, hey, we can terminate your pregnancy so that we can try to do some work on you, or you can keep the child. And she ended up keeping the child. And then what's crazy is that even after she kept the child, the cancer ended up like just seeming like it went away on its own. So everything was all good. Then a few years later, it came back like out of nowhere and killed her in a few days. So for me, that was like obviously like a very hard time. Like when it first happened, it like it shook me, but then also kind of made me like numb to everything because I was more focused on trying to make sure my parents were good and that my little sister was good and my other siblings were good. And I didn't actually really take the time to heal myself to maybe about a year later. And it was hard and it was really rough. And most people would be like, okay, even in something like that, like there's nothing good about losing a family member. Mm-hmm. Most people say like there's no good in that. And of course, losing her itself sucked, but that helped me grow so much at the same time because it gave me a deeper appreciation for life. It gave me a deeper value for my friends, my family that I have, and not taking anything for granted because it's like treat you every day like it's the last day of your life pretty much, and not in the sense of fear. Like I think when a lot of people hear that, they think like, oh, I gotta rush, I gotta stress because I might not be here. But no, in the sense of in everything that you do, live it to the fullest. I don't care if you're going to work, I don't care if you're going to school, I don't care if you're going on a date with your girlfriend, your husband, your wife, working out, and everything that I do, I try to enjoy it to the fullest and make the most of it for that day. So for me, the importance of mindset, because at that point, like before she died, like I was in high school, I'm making all A's, I'm having a good time with my friends, I'm pretty much getting set and getting ready to where I can go to pretty much whatever college that I want. So it's like that potential that, oh, everything's all good, right? And it's easy to be happy when everything's all good. But when that happened, suddenly all that potential, the A's, all that stuff, like it didn't matter, like who cares, right? And I actually ended up, my first year was actually in community college instead of going to TCU, Baylor, and these other schools I got accepted to. Because things were kind of weird at home after that, I didn't want to leave my little sister home with that. So I ended up going to TCU, staying closer, which honestly, like for anyone listening who's like you're about to graduate high school, go to community college first anyway. You're getting the exact same education for way cheaper.
Especially for all the basic math and
like
the same class and you don't have 700 kids in
your
class.
first 2 years of college is just high school done correctly. Like that's
it really is.
That's
so
all it is.
True.
Like if they did high school correctly, you could get your bachelor's in 2 years because you could immediately go into what you want to do. But that's all your first years of college is. But anyway, so all of that
so funny.
All of that was rough, but like I said, like I grew from it. So I'm very much big on the power of like perspective and stuff like that. And I'm not one of these people who says like, oh, your perception like defines reality. I'm more like, hey, no, reality is reality in actuality, meaning some things kind of just are, but your perception very much will determine how you respond to it and how you interact with it, which is kind of a weird concept. But the reason I say that is because I like.
So why would you disagree with the other one? What's wrong with your perception as your reality? Because
some people get so caught up in their own perception to where they forget that some certain things in the world still work a certain way, regardless of what your perception of it may be. And so, okay, let me give you an example, right?
They'll let their perception, they try to force that to be other people's
perception,
reality.
or they'll ignore certain like facts of life. So this is something that I'm really big on with both my social well-being, and I'm big on this when it comes to fitness. And that's one of the reasons why I love fitness. There's so many parallels to like just life. So in fitness, and then in just like in life in general, there are. So you guys know the term, not everything's black and white, right? The term is not everything is black and white. The term is nothing is black and white, which means even though everything's not black and white, not everything is gray too. So certain things in life and fitness too are going to be kind of more subjective based upon the individual. Mm-hmm. But there's other certain things in life that are kind of more cut, dry, paste, that are objective. Hey, this is the way this works in our body, right? Like, okay, like for example, it doesn't matter how much you think your heart works differently from somebody else. If your heart stops beating, you're dead. right? Unless the machine's keeping
Sure.
you alive, you're dead. That is an objective fact of life. No matter what your perception is of, no, I can still, no, you're dead.
You're
right?
dead.
So it's that, and that's kind of what's a big issue in the fitness industry now. So you kind of have two extremes. You have people, both like, you know, like just trainers and like fitness YouTubers, where they want to make it seem like everything is 100% objective. This is the way it is. And their motive behind that is it's a lot easier to sell you stuff. Because if I can tell you, hey, this works for everybody, this is how it is for everybody, then you have no excuse not to buy it. So
Right.
there's that extreme, right?
Good point.
But then there's this opposite extreme of, well, everything's based upon the individual. And even though that sounds good, that's a very dangerous place to be, because when you start ignoring basic principles of like training or health that apply to everyone, but you think you're the one exception, that gets dangerous. You start missing out on certain things. Like for example, when it comes to diet, right? The subjective part of diet can be what you eat, like, because based upon anything from like what your finances are looking like, to your culture, to just what foods you enjoy. Different people will enjoy eating different foods, so that's fine.
Right.
That's the kind of more subjective part, right? But the objective part is that all those foods are still calories, period. So it's like objectively, if someone is like, it's a simple energy equation. If you want to lose weight, you have to be in a caloric deficit. You have to be burning more than what you're taking in. If you want to gain weight, then you have to be.
Hey, we don't want none of those facts around. These fake facts
these
around.
fake facts.
Fake news.
Yeah, no,
These fake news.
You have to take in
I'm
more.
trying to eat my way to fitness.
Yeah, you have to be taking in more than what you're burning if you're trying to gain weight. Now, that's the objective part of it. Now, subjectively, whatever diet you want to do that helps you be in that deficit, go for it. But it's understanding like why certain diets work, right? Like, okay, like a very popular diet right now is the ketogenic diet, right?
Right.
A lot of people are all over that.
Tell me it's wrong, please.
What, tell you the ketogenic diet is wrong? So I'll put it this way. The ketogenic diet works, but people don't understand why it works. Their mindset is there's something magical about this diet where I can just eat this certain way and I lose weight. So basically with the ketogenic diet, you're either eating really low carbs or not really many carbs at all, right?
Right.
And people are like, oh, look, it works, I'm losing weight. Well, yeah, you just cut out a huge portion of your calories.
Right.
Whether it's carbs, proteins, or fats, because those are 3 macros that make up calories. When you cut out a huge portion of calories, of course you're going to lose weight because you put yourself into a deficit. Now, with that being said, that doesn't mean that that's going to be ketogenic diet is best for everyone, because different people kind of like how they like process different foods. Like there's some people where they respond very poorly to ketogenic diet because you're just eating like proteins and fats. A lot of people, they do really well on carbs. Other people who just maybe whatever their eating lifestyles are, they just don't eat as much carbs, they do fine with it. So it's not that a ketogenic diet doesn't work.
I don't know. Is that really true though?
What? That some people do better with carbs than others? Yeah. No, sure, absolutely.
Is it because they're also not doing it right? Because like for example, I 2009, so in November, it's going to be 10 years that I'll be vegetarian. So I've switched on and off between, I'm vegan-ish, how's that, right?
Yeah,
a little bit, but my first I was mostly vegan for about 6 to 9 months.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, this is just super hard. And it's really super hard in the social aspect.
Yeah.
Like we're going to go eat and we go to somewhere and they're like, the only thing they have is, you know, I don't know, cheese enchiladas, for example. I couldn't even eat with you, you know, that kind of thing. So it was really, really hard.
Yeah.
But, so anyways, vegetarian. And a lot of people go like, oh, I just didn't feel good on that. And I'm wondering, what were they doing?
Or why is that?
Yeah, because, it's like, no, I had to eat meat. But what about it? Because I'm really trying to understand at this point.
Sure.
Right? To understand, is it a pea-derived protein? That's PEA, not PEE. Okay.
Right.
Pea-derived protein is that wasn't doing it for you? Like, what were you doing? And I think a lot of times is that they do, and this goes to business, this goes to relationships, whatever the fucking subject is.
Sure.
Where we, instead of actually realizing or trying to get to a good, not necessarily mastery level, but a good level of understanding of how it all works.
Sure.
We get in there, we try a little bit, and we're like, nah, that's not for me. And we're out, and then we blame the thing instead of blaming us.
Sure.
And I feel like...
So adherence is a big part of anything, right? And so certain things are, like I said, can be psychological. It may not be that, oh, this thing isn't working, it's just that you're not used to it or you don't like it. That's fine. But it's also important to understand that when it comes to like individual genetics, things like that, certain people, that's one thing. Certain people have more of a discrepancy towards certain things than others. Like for example, you said like vegetarian, right? So let's say you're somebody where, well, not even vegetarian, because even though you're vegetarian, like there's certain like exceptions like what meats you can eat, right? Let's say full on vegan, so no animal products.
Sure,
right?
no, zero.
Okay. So let's say like there's 0 animal products. And let's say you're not doing it from the standpoint of, oh, I think it's wrong to eat animals. Let's say you're purely doing it from the standpoint of, hey, I think this is healthy, right? Okay. So, and that's why I say a lot of stuff when it comes to diet isn't as complicated as what people make it. Some stuff is, you learn this as a kid, like, hey, a balanced diet, a whole meal, right? Like you guys want to know, like, little, like, my government, like, food plate. There's, like, a little bit of dairy, a little bit of meat, more fruits and vegetables, starches, breads, everything like that, right? Okay. So this is something I try to tell people when it comes to diets. Any diet that removes a food group completely, or any diet that overemphasizes one food group heavily over another, more often than not, it's not a balanced diet. Yeah. And therefore, there's going to be usually like some type of adverse effect with that. Doesn't mean
a while, but you'll figure out eventually.
Exactly.
Exactly.
It's like exactly. It's like it doesn't mean that it won't work for putting you in a deficit. That's why I tell people, in order to like lose weight, that's just being in a deficit. You can eat, it doesn't matter what you're eating
or nothing.
Whatever. Yeah, nothing, right?
You can only eat gummy bears and be real skinny.
But in terms of
not healthy.
yeah, straight up.
I have been that way.
No, it's the truth. There was a dude where he actually did like a test because like my macros where he was just eating a bunch of like McDonald's, fast food, all kind of stuff, but he was still in a caloric deficit and he maintained his leanness. So absolutely. But when it comes to health, performance, stuff like that, there's certain things that whether you want to believe it's because it's just the way that we were like created, designed, or whether it's because you believe it's how we evolved over time. The human body has adapted to like eat and thrive off certain things within certain quantities. And what those quantities are sometimes varies from person to person to person. And a lot of it can be cultural because of like how people adapt. Like for example, a lot of my clients who are Asian background, if I give them like a certain amount of high carbs, it's easy. It's so easy for them like to get that in, and they thrive and they do really well on that.
Rice.
Yeah, exactly.
Rice.
A lot of
Rice for meal.
exactly. Some of my other clients though, like more of my African American clients, stuff like that. They like if I give them like a certain amount of carbs too much, it's just like really hard for them. So a lot of it is lifestyle in the sense of like kind of how they're raised, but a lot of it with how like their bodies like have developed over time is because ancestry. Well, that's how your ancestors eat. Exactly. Yeah. So that's what. So when I say that there's some variation of what may feel good or what may work for you, that's where the kind of the subjectiveness comes from, whether it's psychological or something with your DNA. And then certain people, if they have certain like disorders, so like they like to like hypothyroid, stuff like that, they may do better with certain diets than others. Like there's certain special populations that we find like, oh, they respond really well to keto. Whereas if you're not a part of that special population, it's kind of just more like a preference at that point. Me personally, I love carbs, and like I said, I'm a powerlifter, performance sports, carbs, quick, immediate energy source. So for me, like keto's not the move, right? But that's why I tell people it's okay if you like this and this works for you. But the reason it's important to understand why it works for you, because if you don't understand it, you just tell people, oh, do this. Like for example, I just say to people, oh, just do keto, like just eat protein, fats, and no carbs, and you'll lose weight. Well, let's say that they're eating like no carbs, but they're eating so much protein and fats, and they're still eating the same amount of calories. They're not going to lose weight.
Right.
So
it's portion control too.
That's
so
all.
Much of it's
that's all it is. And like when we eat more proteins and more fats, we tend to feel more satiated, full. So it's a little bit easier to not want to eat as much anyway. So different things like that come into it. But it's not this magical thing was, oh, I cut out carbs, and now I'm just losing weight.
You're not gonna get skinny. You eat 3 hamburgers with no bun instead of just having mashed potatoes.
Essentially, yeah, exactly. So it's like that's why.
Healthy portion size.
That's why, like, at the end of all my videos, because, I always start with, like, hey, I'm here to educate you on health and social well-being. At the end, I say, keep it simple, specific, scientific. So, simple in the sense of...
Oh, I like that a lot.
A lot of people want to... 3 S's.
Fuck that shit.
3 S's of the Swole Fest are simple, specific, scientific. But no, a lot of people, they want to overcomplicate something because I can make it seem like it's more complicated than what you can understand. And that, but I understand it. You're going to listen to whatever the hell I tell you to do. And you're going to pay me for it. So keep it simple in the sense of it needs to be simple and practical to what you're trying to do, what your goals are. Keep it specific in the sense of just because this solution works well for your goal specifically doesn't mean it's going to work for his goal depending on what it is. And then keep it scientific in the fact of, like, even though yes, practicality is important, if something is based upon research and science and we have that available, use that. If it's something where, the research is kind of murky and we're not sure, well, then go with whatever you think feels best intuitively. But if there's research that shows us, hey, this flat out does not work, it's detrimental, that's where the kind of, like I said, some things are objective, then stop doing it. Or if it's like, hey, your goal is this, and we know that this works best, this is second best, and then this you shouldn't mess with at all, well then depending on how quickly you're trying to do it, you got to look at that. So to bring it all back full circle, that's why I say your perception may determine how you respond to reality, but reality is reality in actuality. Certain things Just
Have you done any research in Stoicism?
Yeah, a little bit.
How much?
In terms
A little
of just about enough from like basic like philosophy type courses.
I think you'd like it. I was
Yeah.
listening to different things that you've said here, and then also on your videos.
It's very similar.
It's
Yeah.
it's an ancient school of thought.
Yeah.
Roman
Mm-hmm.
roots in Greek actually.
Yeah.
In the Greek.
Well, like most philosophies, right?
It's really cool, and I think you really appreciate it.
I'll definitely look into
There's
that.
a book
more.
I'm reading now. It's called How to Think Like a Roman Empire by Donald Robinson, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
It's really cool. I really like
I
it.
think like.
So I have a
So-
super important question for you.
Yeah.
What is your favorite fast food and favorite soda?
Favorite.
This
fast
is from
food.
Ace Platinum.
My favorite fast food. Oh, that is hard.
Smoothie King?
Oh, will that even count? Like,
Yeah.
this is like just
Yes,
for
it
some
can.
Yeah, I mean that
There's
Yeah,
a lot of
that's-
sugar in those.
Yeah, I agree.
That's true. Well, I don't know if that's my favorite. I do that more out of like necessity, trying to get in more calories. Does
I thought-
sushi count as fast food?
No.
Nah, it's not really fast,
Sure
right?
you can.
What if it's like you know, all you
Sushi
do is
Like a
quick?
drive-through restaurant.
You know what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Come on, guys. We're talking about McDonald's, Burger
Okay.
King, Taco Bell, that kind of stuff.
Zoe's.
God, I just love food. That's hard.
I know, right?
My favorite.
These like uppities over here, they're like, what about sushi?
See, in that, when you become a vegetarian, it's just ruined because there are no fast food restaurants.
are,
French
but-
fries
but when
or
you eat
French
fries.
No, but
Drive-through
it'd be pretty
frozen
good after a
fries.
while going in and getting one of those things. They jack you up. You can go right now to Burger King. They have a veggie patty.
Yeah.
Try that one.
I'm not gonna lie. I don't think I have like a favorite. Like I have favorite foods, but as far as fast food, I don't necessarily have a favorite fast food. Because like fun fact, I didn't really start eating fast food even consistently till about maybe like high school. Fast food would be like a treat, like
Yeah.
in my house growing
Yeah.
up. It'd be like,
So
like,
what would it be? Just pick one.
that's a favorite though. That's hard, man. I mean, like,
I know,
like,
right?
I don't.
Rattle off a couple of
I don't
them.
prefer McDonald's or Burger King. It's all the same.
So would it be a burger and fries and a shake, or would it be a burrito
that's a good
and
combo.
Okay,
whatever?
yeah,
Or would it
okay,
be fried
doing it like
chicken
that.
and
Okay,
with like
okay,
Raising
okay,
Cane's
yeah.
or In-N-Out Burger?
I like
or
a good burger. I like
Yeah.
a good burger. Oh, you know what? Okay, now I got steak and shake. There we
Steak
go.
and
Hey,
shake.
Yeah,
you got it all right.
That's something where it's like no matter what time of day it is, I'm like, yeah, I can go for that. I can
Yeah,
do that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Steak and shake. Oh,
There you go. So he was intrigued at what you would be answering.
Meat made from plants. What do we think about meat made from plants?
Shouldn't it
Well,
be
we
meat
eat it.
in quotation marks?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
well, if it's made from plants, it's not meat.
It's not meat, but that's what we eat.
yeah. So
Plant-based
do,
protein.
do they mean like just
So Beyond Beef, are you referring to like a Beyond Beef or Impossible Burger or the new ones that are like corn based?
All I know is that cows eat a lot of corn and cows are real big, so I don't know if I'm going to stick with a corn-based diet.
Well, and typically when you look at kids especially, the corn kernels just come out whole when you're changing their diapers. So our bodies don't really process corn.
Very accurate.
We don't break it down. It just comes out whole.
Yeah.
Check your poop next time, you'll see.
Accurate.
There's a whole thing on it on like
Wow.
you can research it.
Anyways,
You're welcome.
horrible part of this conversation. What the hell? I don't even know how to follow it. We're done now. Done. We ended on
We're
the
about to sell a whole bunch of gently used equipment. 'Cause, you know,
shit. We're literally ending on the shit. Oh
also,
god.
so I can just dip out.
Yeah,
now,
you're
right?
done.
No, I'm kidding.
So what do you think of intermittent fasting?
It's the same thing. It's just another tool for caloric control. At the end of the day, it's like so. The benefit with intermittent fasting is okay if I wake up and then I wait 8 hours to eat, or let's say I put my eating just in an 8 hour window. Chances are I'm not going to eat as much in 8 hours as I would in 24 hours. But yeah, no, I'm saying, but if I do like okay, so let's say to maintain my weight, I have to eat like 3,000 calories, right? And to lose weight, I have to drop that down to like 2,500.
Okay.
So if I say okay, I'm going to intermittent fast and lose weight, but I'm still eating those 3,000 calories in that window, which I actually will do, then I'm not.
Just do a cheesecake
I'm not
factory.
gonna
Order a salad.
I'm not
There
gonna
you
lose
go.
weight. And then there's all this extra stuff that people say is like, oh, but it's got this extra benefit like cell regeneration, this and that. And they always like to quote this one study that was like done with mice.
Yeah.
And that's another thing when it comes to research too that I will say, because some people go to this extreme. Like I said, practicality is what matters most, like above all else, especially when it comes to reading research. Because just because they did something on a specific animal in a lab with controlled variables doesn't mean it's gonna be very applicable to humans in your everyday life. And a lot of people don't actually know how to properly read research. They like just kind of look at the cliff notes and they'll cherry pick and be like, well, I believe this and this random research article on Google said this, so it must be true. You check out the research article, which if somebody challenges me to debate, like I will do, is like, oh, well, dude, this was from like 50 years ago and it was done on ducks and has nothing to do with us, but okay. So stuff like that. But intermittent fasting is a valuable tool if it helps you control your calories more.
Right.
Yeah.
It's good to know.
I think it's great. I love intermittent fasting.
I tried intermittent fasting for a while, and I think I ended up just becoming more fixated on when I could eat, that I got more obsessed with food than just like treating food like a
Well, that's the thing with so many
I just
diets.
got, like,
It's
way too
psychological.
concerned with it.
Yeah. See, and that's the thing. It's psychological. It's kind of like if you can't adhere to something psychologically, then whether it works or not doesn't matter. 'Cause you're not going to do it.
Right.
So that's
I think all of this also relates to business ultimately. Because the
yeah,
way we
sure.
approach these things and our most, like food, money, probably I think one of the two subjects that are the most personal for people that they
Sure.
don't want to talk about, they don't want to share.
Sure.
And yet it's how they are approaching those things that I think spill into other areas.
Oh, absolutely.
I think it's just all around, and I mean, I'm guilty of it too. I have a six-pack underneath all this.
Well, most things in lifestyle are a cycle. It's like anyone who like, and I actually have friends who've done this. People who like they're around me a lot in the gym and they work out with me and stuff like that. When they learn other things about my lifestyle, they aren't surprised because you can see certain like if you have certain habits in one area, like you're saying, it's going to carry over to something else, like almost all the time. So that very much is true when it comes to like your business, your finances, like how you go about things. A lot of it has to do, and that's the reason why a lot of people don't get into consistently working out or being on a diet. Anyway, it's like okay, if I come watch you at work, right, and I see you're slacking on your job there, you're not even disciplined in that. Of course, you're not going to be disciplined in something like working out because your mindset is, well, even though I may not be disciplined to work, I'm still going to go because I got to make money, right? But people unfortunately don't always put that same value on their health, which to me is very backwards. It's like, okay, you're making all this money, but you're going to be dead in the next 5 years. Who cares?
So you're literally talking about our wealth wheel. So
Yeah.
we have this thing, the definition of wealth in a dictionary is the abundance of resources, money, and possessions.
Okay.
So we think about resources, of course, a lot of people think of gold, steel,
Right.
factories, whatever, right?
Right.
Money.
Well, money's already there, but what are your resources as a person? What do you create wealth out of? You know, how do you have an abundance of resources that you have essentially just by yourself?
Yeah.
So we have 10 topics. Some of them are like creativity, love, fun, enrichment,
Vulnerability.
vulnerability is a big one. Purpose, like what is your purpose? You know, from there you can mine so many other things.
Yeah.
Of course, I think money is the only one that we have that would be not something that's inside the person.
Right.
But money, I mean, you need it, right? It's that tool.
Yeah.
And really, money converts to time.
Exactly.
That's really what it is.
Exactly.
So you can even change that word to say time.
Time.
Like, how
Time
much
is money.
time do you have
Sure.
to do all the things that you want to do? And of course, the more money you have, the more you can amplify time. Otherwise, you can't do anything else with money in a sense, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, what you're speaking about is that topic around like what you're doing in health, but how it impacts to all the other areas in your life. And I think that's what we work on, is that it is all of those things, because you can have a miserably rich person.
Oh, absolutely.
Or you can have a miserably in shape or a really broke in shape person.
Sure.
And
Sure.
you know, either way, it's not beneficial any which way. It's like, wow,
Sure.
look at this person, they're ripped, they can run, whatever, and then all of a sudden you're like, well, they can't do a vacation, they can't,
Right.
they're always struggling.
Right.
So that's not a good thing, right? So
Right.
how do we address all of these different resources and then harness that for the life that we want?
Right.
So I love that you talk about that. That's when I was sharing with Jannica some of the things that I had found stalking you, which was a lot of this stuff. It's like you're really already around discussing all the different impacts,
Yeah.
not just working out.
Oh, you have to be. It's like, I mean, at the end of the day, who cares if you have a six-pack and can bench 300 pounds if up here you're like completely screwed up, right?
Right.
Like it has to all come together. And at the same time, who cares if like, oh yeah, you're really smart and you're well read, but like you can barely get out of bed. So it's kind of like that whole body like awareness, and that's why. And in terms of what you're talking about, because you even brought up how like you can be rich and miserable. That's why I tell people. So I'm big on self-validation, right? And the sense of I don't think you should validate yourself through anything that can be taken away from you. So money. You can.
Yeah, that's a very stoic thought, by the way.
Yeah. Well, I say I'm definitely gonna tell you, like money, that can be taken away from you. Your house, even relationships, like you can be in a relationship and it's gone, everything like that, right? So I'm big on self-validation and contentment and growth. Meaning everything that I kind of do, that I like deal with, whether it's like money, working out, even friendships. All those things are to help expand upon my life. They're to be experiences for me to learn more and grow and learn more about myself. But they can't, those things, no single one of those things can define me. Because if it does and it's taken away from me, well then what am I doing, right?
So you said something, contentment and growth. What was the first one?
Self-validation and contentment and growth. Yeah.
What do you think about replacing contentment with gratitude?
Gratitude and growth?
I think a lot of people can't get to contentment because they don't even realize what they currently have.
Oh,
or
I
they're
agree
not
with that.
thankful and grateful for
Absolutely.
what they currently
Right.
have.
So,
Yeah,
so
I agree
if
with
you're
that.
grateful, it almost immediately, you can't go from contentment to gratitude, but you can go from gratitude, maybe, I don't know, just thinking out loud here.
No, I think in the trend it's not.
But
it's
if you
not
go
good
from
with.
gratitude, I think contentment just an immediate byproduct.
Yeah.
So one of the exercises, have you ever heard of like a 3 little things exercise or anything like this on gratitude? So when you ask people like, what are you grateful about? And they're like, well, my grandma, my house, and they list these massive things in their life, right? But if you flip it around and you ask and you write down the tiniest things that you're grateful, right?
Yeah.
Because, you know, most people have one mom, one dad, you know, 2 grandmas. It's a very small thing at the top.
Sure.
These are just really big topics, right? One house, that kind of stuff. But if you realize all of those things are just surrounded by this massive amount of stuff, such as, you know, I'm grateful for this, you know, audio splitter. So I'm on the air, you know, if you and I were sitting beside each other, we could watch a movie and both hear it. Or, you know, pen caps. I mean, walking around with pens all the time with their ink exposed and you really think like, man, there's this. And then you get overwhelmed because then you were like,
There's so much
cell phone case,
So much
charger, you know what I mean?
This monitor, I love my monitor.
Because there's a statement that I was kind of, when I see it on my phone, when I go through a few, especially, you know, these motivational sites or inspirational images, it's always like, you are exactly where somebody else is praying to get to.
Exactly. Oh, absolutely.
Right.
And that's a really like,
Absolutely.
wow,
Absolutely.
right? Like no matter which way it is, somebody is praying and wishing for an elevation in their status to get to that place.
Yeah.
Right? So imagine I think almost at all levels this is applicable, right? I'm just taking an imagining you could be almost homeless and then you think there's somebody that's in a war zone right now going like, damn, I just wish I'm not getting shot at or my kid's not getting shot at.
Yeah.
So no matter what it is, but if we're grateful for that one moment and we can experience all the things that are around us that we're blessed with, I think it's really hard not to be.
No, absolutely. I agree. I mean, my second to last video, the first half of it was a social being. It was literally dealing with dissatisfaction with oneself. And the main thing I talked about was you have to take the time to value and be grateful and appreciative of where you're at and what you've done. And sometimes that requires you to kind of look back because it's always easy. And don't get me wrong, I'm not necessarily, cause I know it's like a popular thing, right? Because you'll see all kinds of social media posts about this, like, oh, don't ever compare yourself to others, right? And I agree with that to an extent, but sometimes, once again, I think that's where perception comes in, mindset, right? There are certain times where, like whether it's like in powerlifting or even YouTube or something like that, where if I compare myself to somebody else or I see how well someone else is doing, it doesn't make me feel bad about where I'm at. It motivates me.
Exactly.
So it makes me feel like, okay, you know what? That's awesome. I'm happy that he's doing well. And it makes me know that I can keep doing well too. Like it gives me something like to work towards. But that's where again, where like I said, like, you know, where you're talking about gratitude or contentment and growth. I enjoy like the aspect of just getting better, of growing and knowing that, hey, wherever I was, I'm getting a little bit further along that. Because I tell people all the time, like, when you really think about it, setting goals is kind of just to give you a direction, just give you something to do. The fun part of it is the growing in it. Because once you reach that goal, you're just going to set another one. You're just going to do something else and kind of keep going from there. So I completely agree with that in terms of the importance of gratitude and value. And absolutely, that's why I tell people, so many people think they're miserable because somebody else has more, but it really is just because you don't value what you have. Because I mean, the idea of like, I mean, and that kind of goes like into even like, that can even go kind of like into like the political realm if you want to, in terms of like, well, what does like equal opportunity mean versus equal outcome and all that kind of stuff. And like, and I always tell people, and especially when it comes to powerlifting, right? Because there's so many people where it's like, I want to be the strongest, I want to be this and that. Powerlifting is very much predetermined by like your genetics, like how much muscle you can potentially build, your leverage and stuff like that. Like for example, if you're a shorter person and you have like, you know, shorter arms, maybe like shorter legs, you're probably going to squat a lot more than a dude who's really tall and lanky because you don't have to travel as far with your squat, right? Yeah, essentially. But with that being said, that doesn't mean that you still shouldn't value the strength that you can potentially build. It's like whether we're talking about like powerlifting or even finances or anything, like whether you're born, you know, with a silver spoon or maybe you didn't grow up with a silver spoon. It's like everyone's dealt a certain hand in life, and the best thing you can do is play that hand to the best of your ability. So hey, wherever you started, so long as you finish somewhere better, that's what's great. Because if your goal is just like, well, I can't be happy because there's someone who's better than me.
Let me ask you a question as you're answering it this way. What do you think of the mental health? Like, what do you think of mental health as it relates to the fitness space?
Yeah.
Or inside of the fitness space?
So be a little bit more specific in terms of like how it is right now.
Well, it's such a focus on the body.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But how is the practitioners conditioning their mind also? Like specifically, because you're really kind of talking about that, but being very, very specific for what you see in the world that you're in.
Okay, got you. See, I wasn't sure if you were asking more about like how does like kind of like the fitness centers that I'm in, how are they kind of viewing mental health right now? But you're asking more, how do I think like the fitness affects mental health? Is that what you're asking?
Sure.
Or so that okay.
Try that one.
Okay. So, well, once again, I think it kind of goes hand in hand. It can be something where it's like, okay, so if I'm working out, right, and let's say the person me first working out is because I feel bad about myself and I want to look better or I want to feel better, whatever, and I start working out, but it gets to this almost unhealthy point where if I miss one day of training or if I feel like I'm gaining weight, like I feel like horrible about myself, like I hate myself like that. That's not healthy, right? So once again, that kind of comes down to perception. Like for me, it's very good for me mentally because basic things like discipline, consistency, scheduling, like it's stuff that I can easily carry and apply to other things. And when it comes to mental health, there is such thing as like driving yourself into the ground, right? It's learning that, like, okay, for example, there's like when we lift weights, stuff like that, right? A rule of thumb is like you like however much you do, you have to be able to recover from it in order to get the benefit of it. If you do more than what you can recover from just because you're not getting enough sleep, not eating enough, whatever it may be, not only are you not going to get benefits from that, you're going to just start regressing, right? So even in that, for me, that's like something I can learn and apply mentally, because that's like in life. So okay, well, I'm talking about work, or hanging out with friends or whatever. You can only do so much of something at a time before where if you do too much of it, it's going to pull you back. So in terms of like, how does fitness affect mental health? I think so much of that still has more to do with perception and how you look at it. Like it's not like granted, there are certain like cognitive benefits just to working out in general that you're gonna kind of get, like, you know, more focused, things like that. But in terms of like actual mental health, like stress, anxiety, and there's stuff that shows that, like, you know, working out helps a lot with that too, just because you are relieving stress. But in terms of like people like we're like, oh, I always feel stressed out, or I always feel anxiety. Working out isn't necessarily gonna like just automatically get rid of that or help with that. It can provide a door and opportunity to do so. But a lot of stuff comes down more to like, okay, well, why do you have this problem to begin with? You know what I mean? Like, it's one thing if someone feels a little like stressed out because they aren't being active, like they're just always sitting around not doing much, then yeah, working out may be a quick, easy solution. But the why matters. If you're stressed out because of other stuff, and then you add working out to that, like let's say you feel stressed out because you feel like I'm just doing so much. And then instead of you looking at your workouts as a way to relieve that stress, you look at your workouts just something else to do, nothing to do, you're going to be more stressed.
Another obligation.
Yeah, I really love this topic, right? Because it's, I mean, because everything you're saying, I've applied to myself, or I'm applying to myself, or I learned a while ago, and I'm trying to figure out, you know, another thing of it. But when you said your perception of reality, it's the truth.
Yeah.
It's, I have a perception.
Yes.
But it's not the perception.
Exactly.
And that's the thing, right? And so I'm always trying to wonder, there's no way around it, right? Like I have sensory inputs into the mind, and I filter those inputs based on my equations that I'm writing, essentially, right? That's how I describe it.
Sure.
So, you know, wondering how can I constantly tweak my perceptions to better align with really the kind of person that I'm growing to be or wanting to be or whatever. And then, and I do one thing and then I see this is not the reaction I wanted.
Yeah.
You know, what did I do wrong?
Yeah.
So how can I make this better? But really in there is to also do it from a place of non-judgment, which is really, really hard too.
Sure.
For a lot of people, instead of just being like, okay, data point, move on. It's like, I suck, I failed, I'm miserable, I'll never do it.
Yeah.
And that's a big thing too. When you said somebody misses going to the gym, it's like, I miss going to the gym, and you know, I didn't manage my time properly today?
Yeah.
Instead of like, I'm a piece of shit and da-da-da.
Sure.
And so this judgment thing that we do ourselves
Yeah.
all the time,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
constantly look to tweak and tweak and tweak the perception filter that we have
Yeah.
so that we can really be closer to a non-judgment state of everything that's occurring. And I
Yeah.
think that's a huge thing. And you'll
Yeah.
read that in these books too as you
Yeah.
read it, where one of the biggest things is understanding how to describe something as a fact
Yeah.
rather than putting our thing on
Subjective
top of
perception,
it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
My house burned down. Why did it happen to me? My life is horrible versus my house burned down.
Yeah. Yeah.
And not attaching all the other things that go with it. And that happens everywhere, all
Yeah.
over the place.
I mean, unless it was arson, then
Well, still, I mean, it's like the house burned down.
Yeah.
So I remember this very specifically on Facebook. I remember reading this. My friend on there said, "Man, today started off great, or today's a great day because."
Mm-hmm.
So that implies what? That there's also bad days because of,
Sure.
right? But at 10 in the morning, how do you judge the rest of the day? It had to do with the way that his perception was of those moments.
Sure.
So what I also hear, and my view of it was, I wake up wondering what kind of day it's gonna be.
Okay.
It's like you woke up.
Yeah. That's already a great day right there, right? So many
Yeah.
people
So it
do.
depends on how you want to look at it.
Sure.
So some people wake up and I think they're like they remove the covers and they're like,
Yeah.
what the fuck's gonna happen today?
Yeah.
Let me go out today, and they really then something happens and it's horrible day.
Yeah.
You get in a car accident, horrible day, versus hey man, I'm alive.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and so I think, you know, this filter, this is what it's about for me, for me personally, because
Sure.
regardless of what are the inputs coming in, whether it's because you're working out or because you're in business or you're a
Sure.
doctor or whatever, you get to constantly interact with the world,
Yep.
right, and other people. And if you want, you can constantly work to adapt this perception filter so that you can get constantly more to a state of, like you say, contempt,
Yeah.
or not contempt, contentment,
Right.
more often, and
Right.
be happy and understand
Right.
what's really, really, truly happening.
Sure.
So-
Well, the big thing is the fact that you took the time to think about that, and you realize, hey, okay, this is something that I need to do. And I'm trying to figure out how to do it, right? So many people don't even get to that point. It's like, and that right there is the key. I'm someone who's big on, if you're someone where you're trying to seek a solution, or you're trying to seek truth in something, and you're actually like diligently seeking it. It's especially in today, man. Like, it's 2019, all the different resources and all the kind of stuff that people have. You'll more than often find it, but so many people don't even get to that point because they just get really comfortable.
I just think that there's certain, I think this is the best I figured out. I said there's certain types of individuals that want to experience certain things here.
Sure.
Well, everybody wants to experience a certain kind of life here.
Sure.
Not everybody wants to be 25 years old and going deep into philosophy.
Sure.
Or,
Sure.
like, well, I didn't read that book. I didn't read that book. I just kind of figured it out on my own.
Yeah.
Right? That are philosophical about what's actually happening in their life versus just YOLO and then just going on with whatever
Doing
fucking
whatever.
happens.
Yeah.
And they're consistently responding to life
Yeah.
and reacting to life rather than creating some kind of
Yeah.
response.
Sure.
Like, why did that happen?
Sure.
Why is this? How is this really working?
Sure.
Right? Those are very.
And that's not even always a bad thing.
That's a thing. Like
Right.
not everybody wants to do that,
Yeah.
and it's okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Because I think that's
Definitely.
really their version of life is to experience that type of life. Does that
Yeah.
make sense?
No, it makes perfect
It's
sense.
very vague, I know, but I think there's certain people that just really want to dive really, really deep into topics
Well, I
and
think-
will really study the nuance
Yeah.
of these kind of conversations and these kinds of statements.
Yeah.
So, contentment or gratitude. Man,
Yeah.
we could spend fucking days on this topic.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Other people would be like, what the hell are y'all talking about? Just
Going
tell me how
about
to work
their day.
out. Like,
Yeah.
what the hell?
Yeah.
And for me, like, this is the thing for me. Like,
Yeah.
spending my life really experiencing life, but also getting to hone that perception filter,
Yeah.
right? Things
Yeah.
that I used to not like, I finally figured out why. And,
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Like, I figured out a lot of things that it's exciting to talk to someone like yourself about,
Yeah.
because other people, they're just staring at you like,
Sure.
what are
Well, like you
talking
said, that's
about?
not necessarily a bad thing, though. I mean, if everybody was like that, we probably wouldn't get as much done. We'd be too busy talking about every little thing.
Right, everybody wants to
Right.
do their own thing.
Yeah, exactly. So there's nothing wrong with that, and I think that's what's important too. It's about once again, like most things, finding a balance, not going to necessarily one extreme or the other. And because so very often it's like, it's just I think part of it is just being honest with yourself with, okay, this thing that I'm doing, this way I'm thinking, or how I'm living my life, is this beneficial for me right now?
Yeah.
Or is it detrimental? Because I feel like people are afraid. We get so afraid of offending others and so afraid of judging others. And the reality is, like people say all the time, like, oh, don't judge, don't judge. We make judgments all the time. If I tell you, hey, you look really good in that right now, that's a judgment. But I hardly doubt you're going to go.
You look terrible,
yeah,
but
yeah.
But
I highly doubt you're going to go like on a huge twin around about like, oh, this dude told me that I look good. Well, actually, maybe
Nowadays,
you would. Maybe you would, right? So it's like, I tell people, judgments are kind of like, that's kind of like just part of the reality of life. And it's all, once again, your perception on like how you take it and use it. Like when somebody makes a judgment call on me, right? Whether their intention was to help me or just to criticize me, the way I always try to look at it as like, okay, well, let me think about what they're saying. Is there any truth to it?
Right.
And if it's applicable, well, even if they meant it to hurt me, I'm going to try to take that and try to be better. And if there's no truth to it, well, then why do I care? Why am I going to go like on this huge rant about it?
You're going to love these books, dude.
Yeah, so
I think it all comes down to just learning from everything that you experience, whether it's failure or success or something in the middle. You can just take it as a lesson.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But like I said, a lot of people, they just get comfortable, and anything that's going to kind of disrupt that comfort, they'll be done with. And it's interesting. Sometimes people get so comfortable to the point where, like they're comfortable in their discomfort, in the sense of they're clearly in a detrimental state, but up here they're so comfortable with it where they don't even care. Like, and once again, using a fitness example, right? So that's kind of what you guys brought me on for. Like, it's partially that. There's this huge trend right now in the online social media sphere, Instagram, YouTube, stuff like that, of this back and forth of like, oh, well, can you be fit at any size? What's fat shaming? What's not? All this kind of stuff, right? And it's interesting to me because it's like, first of all, let me be very clear. If somebody has an issue or a problem, they're struggling with something, right? Whether it's self-inflicted or not, I don't think you should mistreat them for it. I don't think you should mistreat people really, like, for any reason, right? But with that being said, the issue is what people are now defining as mistreatment. To me, if if Adolfo's like clinically obese, right, and I'm like, hey, fat fuck, you're garbage, like kill yourself. Obviously, that's mistreatment. That's not good. But if I tell him, hey man, look, at the state you're at right now, your chances for like literally almost every kind of disease is way up. You can barely take a step like without breathing heavily. You have to get help getting out of bed, stuff like that. I think you need to make a lifestyle change.
If there's an emergency, you could not save yourself.
Yeah, exactly. It's like to me, that's just telling him the truth and love, right? And I would even go so far as to say that if I'm instead like, oh no, man, do you? It's your life. I either don't like him very much or I don't care about him at all, right? But the problem now is that people will take that first statement I said and that second statement I said and act like they're the same things. Like, oh, you're fat shaming. It's like, look, this is it. Like, once again, this is why I say, hey, your perception doesn't always define reality. You may buy into the mindset of like, oh, health at any size, but the reality is we already understand, science is very clear on it. When you're obese, in the same way, like if you're anorexic, if you want to talk about the opposite extreme, then the reality is you are in a very unhealthy state. Period.
When your nutrition is out of control.
Yeah, there
will be a negative.
Yeah, there's
a lot to have a conversation on this, and I'd love to have you back to actually converse on this issue because there's what you said. I mean, in this example, it's what you said, how you said it, what the emotions behind it, blah blah blah. Yeah. And also, what fat fuck over here, his. yeah. I'm just joking. No, but it's in this case, in this example, it's Adolfo and how he received it and what he does with it, even if you were being rude. Yeah. These are two. This is two parts of the equation. Exactly. And it would be really interesting to dive into this particular topic because there's always going to be someone. Yeah, probably forever. There's always going to be someone that hasn't quite evolved and knowing how to treat other people in a way that's always nice. Absolutely. And, and comforting and Santa Claus-ish or whatever. Yeah. And so on the other side, well, how do you process those moments? Sure. What do you do with things like that?
I would love to add to that because I've had moments where my whole life I've dealt with hypoglycemia. And there were times where I couldn't do anything to keep weight on. And I would get shamed in the opposite end of you're too skinny, you're whatever from women. Yeah. And men are like, oh my gosh. Sure. So it's like bullshit. Because
I love your body that's unhealthy and you're struggling.
You're so thin, you're so blah blah blah.
This would be a good topic for next time. What do y'all think? You know?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Because
And we never even talked about entrepreneurship, really.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah, I'm definitely.
It's better to have the other this problem than be like
I'm definitely
staring at
down to
him
come
at
back.
like, you know, 40
Oh, yeah,
minutes in,
we
and we're
went
like,
over.
we have nothing to talk about.
Yeah.
We
Let's
never
go to
had that problem.
commercial.
We never have that problem. So, thanks everybody for tuning in. Thank you so much for showing up.
Yeah, no problem. I enjoyed it. Had fun.
You know,
Really
when
enjoyed it.
Adolfo said that he had a friend, I didn't put much credit on that, but you
Oh.
know,
We thought you were imaginary.
I like how Adolfo just ignores you now.
he does. Yeah, he don't even pay attention.
It's like, whatever, Abe's talking. Blah, blah, blah.
No,
I
seriously.
didn't even teach him that. He figured it out on his own.
So, it's like a puppy dog over here. Let's show Adolfo's new tricks. Anyway, yeah, definitely thanks for coming in. We'll schedule this in a couple of weeks again and dive into this topic. So let's make note of this ending topic here. We're gonna make
Adolfo's the fat fuck.
yes, exactly. And then we'll go from there.
today?
Thanks everybody. Tuning in here from Marcellus Studios. This is Abe Nadimi.
I'm Jannica Morton.
Emily Francis.
Marcellus Williams.
Bye.
There you go.